Well, good morning, lovely people. Well, for me, it's morning, good afternoon, evening, whatever it is, good night. But I'm starting my day today, and I'm coming down to the lovely place here to cut the field. So we're hooking up the 15-foot Rhino batwing to the Case IH 75C tractor, and we're going to get to cutting. I have had a long journey this morning just to get to this point, and got some diesel fuel and traveled for about an hour or so. Little breakfast, a lot of phone calls to some of my loved ones. This is still sitting down here. Me and Mrs. Lovely cleaned up all the busted pieces when I cut this thing down, and it fell and shattered. And those little squirrels that came out of it, those babies, I think that they made it. At least I hope they did. They got into that big tree over there and skedaddled on up it. Right before we left the other day, she and I put this big old strap up on this tree here because we got the grandkids coming over. I got this tied up to this tree, and I'm gonna do a little bit more adjusting on that, try to get it on up the tree a little bit more, get it a little higher, and give them a great place to swing around here. It's gonna be fun. Really looking forward to getting them down here. 4 grandkids, what a good time. Nothing better in the world. So before I hook up the Rhino, however, the grapple is already on the tractor, and I'm going to show you real quick what I got to do, because I can't even get out of here the normal route that I go pulling the batwing until I grapple some of this tree that I pulled out of the top of this tree over here a few weeks ago. I've got piles of limbs over there. That's out of the way. I will be moving that soon too. We'll be using a lot of that for some fire kindling when we have a fire in the fire pit right here. We've had a good bit of rain, as most of us have. My thoughts and prayers are still with everybody that was affected with the hurricane, and I know that there's a lot of resources that way right now. National Guard and others doing a lot to help. But yeah, this is some of the stuff I've got to get up with the grapple real quick. I'll set you up here. You can see that puppy in action. It's a big old gigantic WR Long Grapple, and it's one of those clamshell types, root rake grapple. It does the job. I don't know what I'd do without it, but yeah, I'll probably get a little bit of that too, but mainly I got to get this because this is the route I come out when I'm going out with the tractor. I'll tell you what, up here alone, it's quiet. Never mind, I spoke too soon. All right, here's the big grapple. It's a good one. I've done a lot with it, and it has not disappointed me. I keep this hood open. For those of you who store tractors inside, I was getting tons of mouse action right in there. Somebody told me, hey, leave the hood open, and that way the mice won't feel like that's their home and they can go in there and hide. It's open to the elements, or to the light and everything. And so that seems to have helped, along with me using, I'm looking for it here, what I do with it, the mouse repellent. Here it is, this stuff right here. It's got a good smell to it that I like. Apparently they don't like it. Rodent repellent. That seems to keep them off. That combined with keeping that open. Before I kept that open, this didn't quite do the work. They put up with the odor, and they went in there anyway. But we're going to get her unlocked, start it up, let it run for a few minutes, and we're going to get to grappling. Before I get going today, I'm actually wanting to fix this seat. This is a pneumatic seat, air seat, and it's all the way down to nothing, and so it's just wreaking havoc on my lower back. And I'm trying to figure out these different adjustments. I'm looking at the manual, and for the air seat, it shows this little slider right here, number 2, which to raise the seat, you push the slider forward. To lower it, you push it backwards, but I don't see that. This looks more like the manual seat, but not exactly. So I got to mess with this. I'll let you know in case you have one of these if I figure it out here. Okay, so I figured all these out. This lever here allows it to just kind of shift back and forth. This button right here is like a compressor, so you press it and it raises it up, and I guess if you let it out it lowers it, so that's pretty cool. I'm just now figuring that out. This one allows you to kind of rotate side to side. This one allows the seat to lean back, and one of these slides back and forth, so you can adjust it for your feet, and the other one just lets it jiggle. We learn something every day here at the lovely place. So okay, let's get to work. So I got me a couple more, actually 3 more diesel fuel cans, and I tell you, these, you gotta be pretty smart to figure these stupid things out here, I guess. Also, you gotta have 4 hands, because you gotta press and hold this red thing down. Actually, it clicks. I think it'll click down in here. Let's see. Does it hold? Apparently, you have to hold it the whole stinking time, which is insane. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, this is coming off, y'all. This is coming off. I am not keeping this on here. I'm not doing it that way. If you want to look on the bright side, the good thing about this is when you're transporting it in your pickup truck, the fuel is not going to spill out all over the place like it does with my other jugs. So that's good, but get rid of it when you're ready to put fuel in your tank. At least that's what I'm going to do. All right, let's hook this PTO shaft on here. Let's see where it's lined up. Got these spindles in here for y'all who haven't done this, and you gotta sometimes turn it a little bit to line it up with those. There we go. Now let's hook up our hydraulics. I put some zip ties right here. The white zip tie lets me know those go up here on the blue, on the top. So the other ones don't matter, they're kind of interchangeable. I don't have it set up so that I'm able to do each wing individually. Basically, I just have to go back and forth until both wings do what I need them to do. Be nice to have the other set up, but that's down the road. Okay, that's good. Let's hook up this light just to keep it up out of the way. I don't really need a light. This obviously swings back and forth. This is what holds those hydraulic lines. It seems to be a little bit stiff, so I'm gonna put some blaster in here. See if that will go down inside there and possibly make it move a little bit more freely. Although I don't want it to move too much, actually, because I want it to kind of stay in this position. I want it to kind of stay in this position over here, out of the way from the PTO shaft. That ought to do it. Seems to be a little smoother. Now it's time to remove the jack stand here. So this type of batwing here, it hooks onto your drawbar down here, just like you're pulling a trailer. It's got a big old pin that drops down through there. This has a pin right here, and we'll just take this and set it aside. Next use, I'm definitely going to want to grease the Rhino again. Let's get the safety pin out of this wing right here. So I raise that wing and drop it right here. Secure the pin there. Now I got to move the lever, and I'll do the other side by moving the other remote. All right, we got this one ready to be removed. Now, I'm gonna mess with those remotes back and forth, let you see these wings come down. We're ready to cut. Actually, I forgot, we named it the Beast. That's right, it's a beast. And this is Big Red, y'all. And we'll call this one T-Rex. Oh well, we can have fun at least while we're doing this stuff, right? All right, let's get to work. Okay, well, it's all hooked up. We're ready to engage the PTO. Let's get this thing up. I'm gonna lower it so it'll be a little closer to the ground in case anything goes wrong. Okay, we want it to get up to 540. It'll settle down in a minute. It shakes a lot when it first gets going. Let's put it in gear and move forward a little bit. Take that emergency brake off. down where I want it. We're cutting. Let's get out here in the field and have some fun. I'm gonna scoot up this way and we'll start doing the perimeter first. Get over here under this swing set that I set up. I want to cut that good so the grandkids can have a place to play. There we go. Through the woods. Get the air on. It's a little stuffy in here. You gotta watch close when you get to these close to these trees here. You don't want to hit those with the side of that batwing. Woo! That's close, y'all. After a while, you get used to it. You kind of know where to lay it. Cutting in, and then of course you got to get around all this stuff that's coming off the wood line. We got us a low branch right here. I'm not going to get up in there and mess up the tractor, so that's another good thing about the batwing is you can get underneath stuff like that pretty good and then get right back over here. Out of the entire cut, this is one of the things that is, I guess, the most tedious, because you just got to be really focusing and paying attention. We're sitting at about 540 now. I had it at 550. It will fluctuate between, say, 520 and 550, depending on how thick the grass is and if you're going uphill, downhill, and so on. But this Case IH 75C does not seem to have an issue pulling and cutting with this big old 15-foot Rhino 3150 batwing. I like staying away from that. Look at those thorns on that thing. I have had to, you'll see it on a video, by the way, I've had to remove one of my front wheels, take the whole thing into the co-op and let them pop that tire off and plug it. I think they plugged it in a couple places. I don't really remember, but I know it had thorns all in it. Some of them had penetrated through, or at least one had, and many of them had not went all the way through. But you want to avoid that. Those limbs will fall, those thorns stay sharp no matter what, and you're bound to get stuck. We're about to get up here so we can get in the field, and we'll make our way over to the other tree line on the north side of the property. This is a big old brush pile. It's growed all kinds of weeds out, just like they all have. One of these days, we'll get it all cleaned up, God willing. All right, we got us a culvert right up here, so I'm gonna scoot around it. There it is right there, if you can see it. We're gonna get the wing right up against it best we can. Then we're gonna come back in. We'll travel this ditch here, get the wing up on the side there so that we can get the edge of this driveway up here. That's it. Don't quite cut as smooth as the bad boy, but it's not a bad cut. Got my electrician buddy coming up here later, and we're going to look at a few things, and we're going to try to get the wiring finalized. There's a couple wires we didn't get done on our initial go round, And then I'm getting insulation up in that tiny house, or that pole barn soon. We're gonna make us a tiny house up front. And that way me and Mrs. Lovely will have a place to come, and eventually, it's gonna take some time. All right, I'm gonna cut it around this way. We'll have a place to come, clean up, cook up, rest up. Okay, here we are on the other wood line here. Try to scoot in tight. Got the sun peeking out over here, don't we? Tell you, when you're running this tree line like this, it's hard to keep those mirrors adjusted. Normally, before I get this far, the mirrors are already out of line. Gonna scoot around that, scoot right back in. Batwing goes pretty much under it. There we go. Fun, ain't it? If you cut a field with a bush hog, leave me a comment. Let me know what you use. Let me know your power, your horsepower on your tractor. Let me know your size of your bush hog, what brand you got, what you're using. If you're looking to change or upgrade, tell me what you're thinking. I'm just curious what everybody else is using out there. When I bought this property, I realized I gotta cut the field. I tell you, I feel like I made a mistake, not in the brand I bought or the size or the tractor, especially not the tractor, but here's what I think I could have done and should have done. I should have purchased, I didn't know what I was doing, look at that. I did not know what I was doing, but I just knew I needed to keep this field cut, this grass cut, and so I thought, well, I just got to buy a cutter. What I wish I had done was bought hay equipment. I've said this before, for any of y'all who have been around the channel. And then this could all be hay right here. Now this is not the best quality stuff, but hey, it's better than nothing, and I could probably have made a few dollars off of this. One option now is to find somebody who would like to cut it for hay and maybe sell this thing. There's more of those thorns, just get around them. Sell this 15-footer and just get somebody to cut it for hay, and eventually buy my own hay equipment. And I would like to have it myself anyway, due to the fact, we'll come back in there later, that goes over to the creek there, due to the fact that, you know, I won't have livestock. I want to have goats or sheep or cattle up here one of these days. Definitely would like to have hay equipment. You know, we got about 18 acres of this field that's open that can be grazed. And I watched some videos, and I've kind of heard different thoughts on how many animals you can keep, of course depending on which animal it is and so on a particular amount of acres. And what I would like to do is what many of the other folks are doing, and that is like a permaculture kind of deal where you're rotating from paddock to paddock. I'd like to set that up here, and that way they're always on fresh grass and they're not staying in the area where they've dropped their manure for too long. You could have chickens out here as well, and what I'd really like to have is laying hens, and would also love to have some meat chickens, but I'd love to have eggs more than anything. Okay, let's just scoot on up here and make another round. As far as this tractor is concerned, I have no regrets. The only thing I don't like about it is how much it costs. Other than that, it's great. I mean, I've had a few service things that I've had to deal with. It's hard as can be to change the oil filter. Just getting into it is a challenge, but I've done it. it's all on the channel. If you're looking to service your own, there's things what to do and what not to do, that's for sure. Learn from my mistakes. But yeah, I love the tractor. In fact, I've considered, okay, it would be nice to sell it and have the money, but how in the world can I manage that? You know, I mean, how can I have this property up here and not have this tractor? Yeah, I have got to have this thing for the grappling, if nothing else. And so I'll tell you, a grapple, you need it. You saw it a while ago. It's amazing what you can do. I mean, when you got all these trees and woods, you've got to have something to pick up all this stuff and move it. So I wouldn't want to do without the grapple or the tractor, and I couldn't. We're just moseying on around here. I've got the perimeter all cut pretty good, and it's time to start going across. I'm gonna go around this pile of trees here that we bulldozed up out of the, whoa, see that log right down there? That's the danger when you let this stuff grow up like this. You can't see and you get too close and you'll hit a big old log, and we don't want to do that. So let's get around that puppy. She's right there. Try to get on around it. There it is. Get this out of the way. And scoot on down this direction. There's a tree going at that angle, so let's get up under here. Try to stay close to it and get as much of this down as we can without getting up on it. There's the root ball. There we go. Pretty good, pretty good. Let's do the same thing on the other side. But yeah, if you can see up through there, we really have cut the perimeter good. And I'm gonna start going up and down that way. The reason I go up and down that way is I got a couple of trenches where the water drains, and I don't want to go across them. I need to be right up to the edge of them, and they are deep, so you don't want these tractor wheels to get off in there. Strip right down the middle here. Some of it anyway. Yes, I missed a spot. Let's reverse it and get back there and get that. Make sure I get this side, because I'm going to go cut straight through here, get this that we've left over here. Looks nice when it's all cut. But yeah, this would have made some good hay, I think. You see a lot of dog fennel in there. When I first bought the property, I didn't have any sign of dog fennel. That first spring, I tell you, we had the most beautiful tall fescue grass I've ever seen. I guess they had planted a cover crop of it, something like that, but it was thick, it was nice. I guess it was the second summer or second spring we started getting dog fennel, and every year now in the spring, in the early spring, that's literally all you see. So once I cut it at least one time, it'll die out, and this is what we get coming back. There's still a little bit in there. I don't know if you guys know it, but from what I've read, dog fennel is something that animals absolutely hate. and if I remember, it might even be bad for them. I can't recall, actually. But it's something that definitely would not be good in hay. That's for sure. Well, I stopped for a minute, ate a little bit of food. There's a market down near me, and they serve lunch. Had pot roast, carrots, pinto beans. They also had mashed potatoes and German chocolate cake. They had a lot of good stuff, and I didn't get all that, but I did get the carrots and the pinto beans and the pot roast. It was not bad at all. But I'm ready to get back to work. It's kind of been a strange day. Normally by this time of day I'm getting close to being done, and I'm not even anywhere close to that today. I've got the perimeter good. I'm gonna, like I said, gonna be going back and forth, and I'll show you what this is all going to look like when it's all said and done today. I don't know how far I'll get, but you'll see here in just a short minute here. The sun's up that way. It is beautiful. It's pretty out here with that sun hitting those leaves coming through. It's gorgeous. I can hear the neighbors mowing in the distance, and we're going to get back to it ourselves. All right, we are cutting across now. I'll let you see ahead of me. We got this one path already cut. I came up the hill this direction, and I've cut all that over there near those brush piles, but I was getting kind of close to the trench. The trench goes right down through here, so I want to come over this way a little bit, make sure I don't get my wheels off in the trench, and then as I cut, I can see more of the ground, and I'll be able to know how much further over I can get. So we're going to slow it down, put it in second gear, and we're going to just kind of scoot on down this way a little bit. This stuff's tall, but yeah, you can see the trench right there. Now the bad thing about these trenches is they kind of snake a little bit. This one's not nearly as bad as the one on the other side over that way. This one's kind of straight most of the way. Got a dirty windshield, y'all. I know you've noticed it. We'll need to clean that up next time we do something like this. But yeah, you can see it. But yeah, it's pretty deep, and if you get that front tire off in there, you feel like you're gonna tip. And if it snakes over this way, I could easily get my tire in it. But if you look back in the back, we're dragging that batwing right down through there, and we're getting the edge of the trench, which is another great thing about having a batwing. Now as I get down this way, I'm not really sure if it's going to snake over here. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in first gear right here and just kind of creep. As I'm getting lower, I do know that it may snake a little, but it won't be long till we're out of the trench. Fine. Let's put it back in third gear and just mosey on up there. Oh, there it was. I want to talk to you about something regarding this tractor, or any tractor. You know, we talked about a few things already that I love about, I told you I love having this tractor. I don't love the price, but I do love having it, and I don't know what I'd do without it. You know, there may come a day where I may have to be without it. You just don't know, and I don't take anything for granted. But right now, we're able to hold on to it, and we're thankful for that. Get this thing up here in third gear and just cruise on. And but now that I've got this air seat working again, and I went a couple of cuts without having it, which was silly of me not to take the time to read up on, you know, which button did what, or just start pushing buttons and see what happened. But I didn't. But I got it now, and I want you to know it is so worth having, compared to those two cuts I did where I was just sitting down basically on the bottom and had no air. Look at this. When I hit a button, I just float, and it's amazing. I could tell right away. I got out earlier and went and grabbed a bite. Like I said, those last two times, if I would get out of this tractor and try to walk, it was a pain. In fact, I hurt the next day, and I'm hoping I don't do that today or tomorrow. because I fixed this air ride seat. So my point is, if you can get away when you buy a tractor, if you can splurge a little bit, there are certain things that are worth splurging on. Okay, I put it in 4th gear so you can see, you know, since it's going a little faster, it's going a little bumpier, right? But for me, there's no bumps. I'm riding on air. And it's so worth it, especially if you're getting up there a little bit in age. Everything hurts a little bit more when you abuse it, and it takes longer to recover. And so I highly recommend an air seat. I already mentioned how I can't imagine not having a grapple for this tractor, and I will say right away, in fact, when I bought this tractor, the sales rep told me, I asked him, I said, what do I need? And we talked about a few things, but he made it clear to me. He said, what you're gonna want with this tractor is a grapple. Now, I didn't buy it at the time, and you know, I'll tell you about what makes sense about buying them in a minute, but I bought it later. But he was right. I'm telling you, having a grapple definitely makes the difference with what you can do and the work that you are capable of doing. And if you go back on the channel, you'll see countless times I've used the grapple, not only for us here, but for neighbors, to help them. And trees get fallen, you know, you can go clear it all up, do all kinds of things. I tell you what I wish I had would be a bigger pickup truck, like a 3500 or at least a 2500. All I have is a 1500 that was capable of pulling a good trailer, which I need that good trailer too, and pulling this tractor and pulling the grapple. Hold on a second, y'all. Okay, sorry about that. I had a little business call I had to take care of. Anyway, I think I was talking about the trailer. Yes, having a good pickup truck, a good size pickup truck and a trailer that I could haul this tractor and the grapple, because you could do all kinds of work for a lot of people. You could make money with it. As a matter of fact, I think a grapple is an awesome way to earn some extra money. Obviously, if I could hook up the batwing on the back of this, I could go cut some fields for other people. But I'll tell you why I don't really want to do that too much unless I know the land and the property, is because you just never know when you're going to come across a big old huge rock or something that's buried down inside the tall weeds or grass, and you don't want to do anything like that. That's going to cause problems and potentially be very dangerous. If you've been around me long enough, you know that I've had an accident where my batwing caught a hold of a big old rock, piece of riprap. I don't know how big it was. It was in a gazillion pieces after that, and one of them came through this back glass right here, and yeah, it barely missed me, and it was an interesting time. That was all on video. Crazy. Or at least the aftermath was all on video, the immediate aftermath. But yeah, I was going to tell you though what makes sense about purchasing a grapple when you might want to get it or consider getting it, and that is, when you buy the tractor, if you buy new, that is, a lot of times, I think it's quite often, the dealers, manufacturers will offer a 0% interest on your tractor. And what I was told when I was buying, and I think this is kind of common, is if you're buying yourself a new tractor, that's the time, if you want to get implements, to go ahead and get it. That's when we got the Rhino. And from what I understand, in most cases, those dealers can wrap all of that into one loan with 0 APR. Now, I don't like debt, and if you don't go into debt, you're better than those who do. When I say better, I mean you're making a better decision. So I'm not encouraging going into debt, but if you are going to go into debt, certainly don't pay interest if you don't have to. And getting what you need, as long as you're able to handle that. Right now, I wish I had 0 debt. And this thing's not covered yet, so it would be nice if we didn't have it. This day and time, you don't want debt, that I can tell you. But my point is, if you're gonna do it, consider wrapping those items into it, because again, you won't get that chance again for 0 APR on those implements. So the next thing I will tell you, and I think you probably are already recognizing it, is AC, okay, heat, and a cab. If you can buy a tractor with a cab, oh my goodness. I want you to look out there on the ground. I want you to look at this tall grass, and I want you to imagine all the critters, all the bugs that are on there, all of the allergens that go up in the air that you would be breathing, that I would be breathing right now if I didn't have this cab. It would be a nightmare. Bugs, allergens, the heat, gosh, bees stinging you, mosquitoes biting you, you name it. For you folks who have been doing tractor work for years and you've done any time at all without a cab, you could certainly tell this story better than me. And there are many of you probably that have never had a tractor with a cab. And you know, this is my first tractor. I just knew that if I was going to do a tractor, I was going to do one that had these things that I'm talking to you about. Once I started digging in and learning a little bit, I realized that it was imperative to get a good tractor with a good cab. So definitely that might be number one on the list, y'all. It makes all the difference in the world. Just watch some videos of some guys who have bought tractors who don't have a cab and listen to them tell you about their regrets. You don't want to make this big of a purchase and then have a major regret like that, because these things do lose value just like anything else right after they're purchased. Tractors, I mean, these days, it depends on what year you bought them. This thing's probably worth as much as it was when I bought it, because I bought it back at the end of 2020, I believe it was. And so it's 2024, and you know, prices have went insane since then, as we all know. And I don't think some things are ever going to come down. We're just making a little pattern here. The reason I like cutting it like this is so that I can come straight right back on a line, and I'm not getting all kinds of zigzaggy stuff. So I make these different patterns as I go across the field. Like right now, I've almost got this one cut. I should have already went over and did another one. I just work myself back and forth. So we've talked about, and I'll probably forget half of it, we've talked about the grapple, we've talked about the cab with the heat and the air. We talked about, what else have we talked about as far as must-haves with the tractor? Oh, we talked about this seat, this air ride seat. There's a couple other things that I'll share with you, and that is horsepower, number one. Let's talk about horsepower. So, I'm pulling this 15-foot batwing. I wanted something that could cut fast in comparison to, you know, here's how I look at it. If you've got a 5-footer compared to a 15-footer, well, you can probably do this about 3 times faster, right? That's how my math works. I don't know if that's accurate, because you don't always get the full coverage. You might notice I've got a couple of feet that I'm missing, but I'm overlapping. If you only had a 5-footer, you certainly wouldn't want to overlap by a couple feet. You'd probably be a little bit more careful about it. And I don't always overlap by a couple feet. Sometimes a lot less, sometimes a little more. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do another stripe now. Let's just leave that alone for a minute. We'll cut right up through here. But yeah, horsepower, that's important for a lot of different reasons. You know, if you're going to be using the front end loader, which by the way, that's kind of a no-brainer for me. If you're going to get a tractor, get one with a front end loader. And I think it's always good to get skid steer attachments up front instead of your universal attachment that I think come with John Deere. You can just get a lot more options when it comes to front end attachments if you have the skid steer attachment. I imagine it's a little harder to find anything you want with the universal attachments all the time and accessible. but skid steer attachments for your front end loader, they're everywhere. So yeah, you obviously want a 3-point hitch as well. But we were on the subject of horsepower. If you're using your front end loader, you need certain horsepower to get that lifted. You need the kicking in for those hydraulics. From what I understand, it's going to drive a larger, probably hydraulic pump, I would imagine. But when you're pulling something, first and foremost, that's where your horsepower comes in. And you just don't want to be under buying when it comes to horsepower. I talk about another regret that you hear about all the time. Right here, I've got my third function here. I had this installed after the fact when I purchased the grapple. The dealer put it on. The Case IH 75C comes with a third function switch on its original handle, but they changed out that handle for this one because it came with the kit. It was a WR Long third function kit, and that's what allows you to control additional hydraulic functions up there on the front end loader, like the grapple, for example. Without that, I wouldn't be able to use this type of grapple at all. So third function is a very good thing, and again, that's another item that they would probably allow you to add on when you're purchasing your tractor in some cases, and potentially at that 0 APR. This little guy right here, that's the 4-wheel drive switch. You want 4-wheel drive with the tractor, you just do. It's a tractor. Get 4-wheel drive, splurge for that. I don't know. It wasn't even an option for me to get it without 4-wheel drive. Just like for me, my main pickup truck, it's got to be 4-wheel drive as well. If I get a little truck up here, maybe, yeah, I want 4-wheel drive if I get a heavy truck to haul a trailer, just so if I get in a mess, I can get out of it. But your tractor, I've had to use it many times, and where I think you'll find yourself using it in many cases is if you are doing loader work. If you're picking up dirt, you're going to get into some slippery situations, and if you're on any kind of grade at all, 4-wheel drive is a lifesaver. It will get you moving. And a tractor is a rescue vehicle, right? You want that to be able to rescue others or your other vehicles, pull them out where you wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. Also, if you're pulling a big old tree trunk or something out of the woods, you want yourself some 4-wheel drive. I highly recommend it. So that's another one. You know, this is a Case. This is a Case IH tractor. I had no idea when I started looking. Case IH was not even on my radar. I hadn't even thought about it. I think through my searching, I was just hearing of dealers that were in certain areas or nearby vicinities, and Case happened to be one of those. So before I talk more about brand, I will talk to you about dealers, okay? So you've heard me mention the dealer a few times during this little discussion here, and you definitely want to consider buying the tractor that you're going to buy from a local dealer. There's a lot of benefits if you buy it from the local dealer. I did not buy it from this local dealer here. I did not even know there was a local dealer in this area. I knew there was one somewhere near me, you know, near my other location, but not this property. And so I just started on my search that way. Did not realize at the time how important a local dealer is. Luckily, not too far from me, I have access to a Case dealer. It's not real close, but it's not horribly far. The beauty in that is they can do service calls. They can, you can build a relationship with them, go get your parts, get your filters, get your fluids, whatever it is you need to do maintenance, and it's not going to be too far away. They can offer you advice when you're doing service. You can go down, and many times they will be willing to print you some schematics of whatever system you might be working on. We might be able to straddle this and get this in one spot with this 15-footer. Yeah, no doubt about it. If you look back here, we got tons of room on each side here. We're getting it. I'm gonna stay real close on this side because I might just not missed a little. I did. No biggie. We'll go back and get it on the way up. But yeah, consider buying you a tractor where you have a dealer for that brand of tractor nearby you. There are lots of benefits, and they'll put you in front of the list on some stuff, from what I understand, especially when it comes to purchasing additional implements. Most of them will sell implements as well, and you will have probably a little bit better opportunity to get what you need when you need it. So you might be wondering, you know, if you didn't even have case on your mind outside of the fact that you found a dealer, what was the reason you chose case? Well, let me tell you the ones I was looking at, and the dealers that were within range, if not even closer than case. There was a Kubota dealer, there was a Coyote dealer, LS dealer. Now, I didn't go look at LS. I didn't know anything about them at the time. There was also a what was the John Deere, of course. There's John Deere dealers everywhere. And so my main three, in fact, Case was one of the last ones I discovered. But John Deere was the first. I was really close. I was looking at, I think, a 5075E, if I remember correctly. And the Coyote, that was a contender. It had a good value, had a lot of good features. And then the Kubota, it was priced to a place that, for what I got, that I quickly just went back to the Coyote or the John Deere for my consideration. And I think I came close to both, I mean real close to both buying the John Deere and the Coyote individually. And then I came across Case, and I went and I sat in this 75C, and compared to the comparable price ranges that I was looking at for both John Deere and for Coyote, I was a little bit less knowledgeable. I had no knowledge about tractors at the time. So what sold me was comfort and the feel, the aesthetics, the ergonomics. I loved how this console here would raise and lower. That was a big seller. I love this air seat. I love this cab. It had the two remotes, the two rear remotes there. It had pretty much the main components that it needed. I think the lift capacity in this case was probably comparable to the John Deere, but I think the Coyote outshined the lift capacity, at least what they showed that it will do. I've lifted plenty of dirt, and which I don't think that and gravel, I've lifted both of those. I don't think I'll be lifting much of anything any harder or heavier than that. And so this does everything I need done as far as lift capacity is concerned. I've lifted logs, and what's going to happen before you get to the point where you can't lift something is the rear end of the tractor is going to come up off the ground, or you're going to be squishing the front end down a little bit further than you want to. I would say in most cases when you get up to a tractor of this size. Now, when you get on when you're in that smaller tractor, subcompact level, I guess, or compact, then you might want to definitely be looking at that. But this is going to lift whatever I need it to lift. But yeah, it was just, and I also knew, of course, that, you know, Case has been around forever. I've heard the name forever. Now, in the tractor world, it wasn't as familiar to me as John Deere, for example. Coyote was not familiar to me at all. I came across it because of the local dealer that was nearby. And but when I heard the name Case, I compared it, in my mind, I thought of road workers, I thought of heavy equipment that I've seen at work sites and job sites, and I thought, wow, if these construction workers are using Case bulldozers, or they're using Case skid steers, then I'd say they probably make a good tractor. And I was right. Now, I have heard negative stories for just any brand that's out there, and I'm sure you have too. You've probably come across them. That means that somebody may have a positive experience with a brand, and some people have a negative experience. And I think that's going to be the case with just about anything that you buy at any given time. That's the case. And you're going to have, probably with any brand, you're going to have a lemon occasionally that will pop its head up and find its way. By the way, the reason we've slowed down is we are now going up this really snaky trench right here. It's somewhere right through there, and it's all the way down through, so I'm not getting too close on this first pass. That way I can cut the grass, get it low back there, and I can get closer on my next pass until we get over to it and we know that we're not going to fall down in there. Don't want that to happen. No fun. This is also a good place for four-wheel drive if the need arises. If you were to get into a trench or a hole, you can see I'm rocking a little bit. Yeah, I'm kind of in it right now. Didn't realize it, but we're almost to the top of it, so it shouldn't get too deep right here. All right, let's put her on up there in third gear. Whoop, let's cruise on up here. But that being said, I'm not like I'm not telling you, man, you got to get a case and that's all you need to get. No, there's good tractors in every brand, I'm sure. And I would love to get my hands on a different tractor here or there and feel it out and be able to compare and tell you what's good about one versus the other. As I get to know some other people around here, I'm sure I'll be able to get some good experiences with some other tractors and give you some better input. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good ones out there, and there's probably a few bad ones that you want to stay away from. I'm not your guy that knows all of this information. The whole reason I started this YouTube channel is because I was watching YouTube channels to learn about this kind of stuff. And now I've just experienced some of it, and I'm just sharing it with you, and that's the reason we started the channel as well, so that we can share our experience as we go along this nice little journey here at the lovely place. All right, we're getting there. We've got our grids. We're gonna hit this one and that one, and then we'll hit the outskirts. I still got one down there, so we'll take that and that, get rid of them, and come knock out these two. But I don't want to have to bounce back and forth much. Right now, I've done this cutting when I've been in more of a hurry, and I've been very precise in where I go, not wasting an inch if I can help it. That's definitely not been the case today, so the way I'm approaching this is not necessarily the most efficient, that's for sure. I wanted to touch on one more awesome feature that you need, and that's a power shuttle shift. That is where, look, my feet are nothing. I'm not on the clutch, I'm not on the gas. I just got my accelerator set over here. You can use that throttle foot pedal down there if you want to. I never use it. I just use this accelerator. And this forward is when you push it forward, you go forward. When you pull it back, you go in reverse. And it's fabulous because mowing, now if you're not mowing a lot of land or doing something that just takes hours and you're not continually doing repetitive stuff, then you may not need it. But for this kind of work, oh my goodness, it saves your feet, legs, it saves worry, concern. It's just the way to go. You push it forward, you set that accelerator, and you just go. When you're ready to stop, you can press that clutch in down there, you can pop it back into neutral, and then when you get to a full stop, you pull it back into reverse, slowly let out on that clutch, and you just keep on moving. So I tell you, the shuttle power shuttle shift, good thing to have. I called that an accelerator. It's a throttle, but it will accelerate, right? But yeah, that's your throttle, and you do have the foot pedal throttle as well. But yeah, I described how you can go in reverse. You know, the sales rep just said you don't even ever want to use your clutch. If you got this, the shuttle shift, you don't even need to use your clutch. Well, I tried that. That doesn't make any sense. You definitely still want to use your clutch, but not when you're shifting it. There's no need. But when you're taking off, when you're slowing down, when you're just, you know, doing normal things that you would normally need a clutch for, except when you shift gears, obviously you want to use a clutch. You don't have to use it when you're shifting this down to neutral, but you don't want to be moving forward and all of a sudden pull this down in reverse. That's a bad plan. Don't do that. Yeah, you want to get to a full stop first. We're getting there. We are getting there. Whew. It feels good to get out of the tractor. It's not been the most productive day for me when it comes to cutting, but we've gotten a lot done. But I've still got more to do, but I'm not going to finish it all today. I wanted to show you something though. I want you to look at this stuff. This is what you would be breathing in if you were in a tractor with no cab. And those of you who do, you know, drive a tractor with no cab and you cut, you know that better than anybody. That stuff will mess you up. So I want to walk up to the front. I don't put it up that way, of course, and I'm not putting it up right now anyway. Gonna come back probably and finish this up tomorrow. But I'm gonna go get my leaf blower and I'm gonna blow all that off, and that way it's not just gonna sit there. But I could actually, since I'm cutting it again tomorrow, I could wait, but I don't know. I just want to clean it up. I just want to show you around a little bit. Let's go for a walk. It feels good to walk. I have not moved out of that seat in a few hours now. Looks pretty good. I want to tell you something. This has been a very unique year, and if you've been hanging around the channel a little bit, you know that I've shared with you guys that I've been very busy. I've been pulled away from the lovely place on other things that I have to take care of in life, related to work, related to family, related to just stuff. And so this year has been different. I purchased the land in December of 2020. So we had 2021, 2, 3, here's 2024, 4 years, 4 seasons of spring and summer and cutting. And on average, and you guys who have some knowledge about all this stuff, you might say, well, what you've been doing is ridiculous. And I'm starting to realize that on average, I have been cutting this field, let's just say 8 times a year, okay? 8 times. And you're just seeing a portion of it. There's another field over there, and that tree line way over that way. Out there, there's another field on the other side of it, and a hillside. You probably saw the hillside get cut with the bad boy 0 turn. But anyway, this year, guess how many times I've cut this year? This is my 2nd cutting. It's crazy. And we have been so dry this year until recently. We finally got rain, and I showed you the creek on the last video. We finally got water in the creek. Here's the dog fennel I was telling you about earlier. It's cut now, of course. But yeah, you know what this is good for? Wow, and you can smell it. If you are out and you want to have a natural, what do you call it? I guess something to keep mosquitoes off, bug spray, whatever. They hate the smell of this, and they won't come near you if you have this on you. That's what they say. And so, yeah, get that, yank up some, rub it on your body. Hopefully it has no other. Consult with Google, with your physician, with anybody else before you do that. Don't listen to me, but that's what I've read, that's what I've heard, is that it's just a great insecticide or a thing to deter insects from biting you and stuff. So that could be very important information, but always confirm anything I say, because I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't know all this stuff. I'm learning as I go, and we learn by our mistakes here, and you can learn by our mistakes as well. I want to show you how pretty it looks up there going toward the barn. Sun setting out that direction. Let's walk up there and get the blower, and as I'm walking up, I'll wrap this thing up for the day. But yeah, Big Red, he's been a good one today. He's always good to us, and the Rhino beast and the grapple, good combination. I didn't mention to you earlier that, you know, a box blade was, I think it was the first implement I purchased, and I've used the box blade like crazy. So I highly recommend getting a box blade for your tractor if you're going to be doing any dirt work or gravel work, driveway stuff especially. But it's been priceless for me. Anyhow, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me today. I'm really excited about getting the grandkids up here and having fun with them. I'm going to try to raise that swing up a little bit so we got more swinging room. So yeah, we're about to have a blast out here. Just wanted to get it all lovely for them, and so they can enjoy this land and get an appreciation for nature. I wish our trails were cut better, but this has been, again, busy summer for me, and I've let these trails go. So this winter, when it cleans up a little bit, when we get some of the ground cover dying down and some of the leaves off the tree, I'm gonna go back in there with my DR, or maybe even get a buddy to loan me a skid steer and rent a big brush cutter and put on the front of it. But anyway, it's been a good one, and I appreciate you hanging out with us here at the lovely place, and we'll see you next time. God bless you, and be lovely, people. See ya.